You know how when we watch some of the videos and there be women talking about they standards and expectations about how they expect to live in a lap of luxury and all that shit, and I'd be like, I don't think we should have a problem with those women. I think we should thank them for letting us know exactly where their mind state is. I feel like you should most unilaterally apply that and thank people for showing like in general. If you don't have it like if you don't have the extensive history of everything, this shit would be confusing. Because one, you're not gonna get taught it in school. You're gonna have to go outside of school or have a familiar experience to understand the exact history, how all of this shit transpired. My camera keep going on. So I can't even get that frustrated about somebody not knowing. If you were a black American and you don't know, you either weren't in communicate with your family and never communicated it, or you never took the time to read to understand exactly why some of this stuff would be extremely offensive. It's a concerted effort to remove the guilt, the white guilt that the white people who know what's going on in this country have, right? That's why they're trying to remove slavery out the history books. That's why they're trying to rewrite how everything played out and transgressed in this society. If you were able to follow that whole train line from the beginning to the current day society, all of this should be extremely clear. And a lot of stuff that people say would be like, damn, that was really disrespectful. But people don't know. They really just don't. And it's not just white people, it's black people that don't know, it's all type of people that don't know.
Yeah.
It's exhausting to try and educate and go through every last detail. So you'd be like, oh damn, that is not only connected, it was intentionally connected. It was done intentionally this way for this specific result. People have 100-year plans, 200-year plans, 300-year plans. They run surveys, focus groups, um, brainstorm, all, and they get government grants and funding to dictate how behavior in humans is done. At the base level of all of this, humans are animals, and you can do predictive diagnoses and predictive uh, things to be able to, like there was a study where they could determine which choice you would make based off the food that you ate that day. All of this stuff has been detailed so you can create human behavior. Most people are followers and sheep, right? So you use propaganda, you can create a narrative like what D.W. Griffin did with the birth of the nation, where they said that all black men were just brutes that were going around to great white women, right? So so from there, they were able to lynch and hang black men from trees and ropes and all those things. And the people celebrated because the propaganda that they were fed through that allowed them to dehumanize the black man. Prior to that, they had one in regards to how they dehumanized them for slavery. Jumping forward, they did it with it was a movie called Reefer Madness. I don't know if y'all familiar when it came out in I think it was the 50s or the 60s, in order to legitimize the war on drugs, because they then created the narrative that black men were going to smoke marijuana and then start raping white women. That's been the trope this entire time as far as how they achieved the atrocities that they've done and been able to legislate racism, right? So then the civil rights movement came, and this stuff happens on a local, national, and a geopolitical scale. You have to understand all of that to understand why. Hey, why would you ensure that the Asians, when people during COVID wouldn't shop with them based off of XYZ, were able to go to the government and get $300 million in funding for convenience stores because they weren't making money, because there's a geopolitical presence that they need to maintain a relationship with them, right? And the super PAC that works within that group is able to allocate and get the resources directly specifically to that community. What all of these things culminate and create a soup that if you don't understand, like what who was it that said it? If you don't understand white supremacy, everything else will confuse you. So things seem to be inoculate or just random occurrences when a lot of this stuff is planned out, and that's not to remove personal responsibility, because in this day and age you as an individual can personally take it upon yourself and then make something for yourself. That's not the argument I'm making. I'm not saying woe is me and we can't do XYZ because of XYZ. I'm saying that you're making it in spite of. It's a barrier, and not everyone is going to be able to get over that barrier. And it's a specific barrier for a specific people for a specific reason for a specific amount of time. And no redress has come to try and do it, because it's still a prevalent ideology. And we've been finessed by the Democrats for a long time because we believed that they were fighting that fight. So to Sweeney's point about people sliding, everything like the immigration policy reform and all those things, the nationalization of it all came due to the civil rights movement, which then allowed people to tack on and then come to the country because there was a racist ideology behind who they would allow in and what countries was allowed to come to America, right? Then you move forward, and that's the same ideology. So they say, okay, we're gonna let these people in so we can appear to be better people on the geopolitical scale. And we have to foster a relationship with these people. So when these people get here, we have to make sure that we have set aside so that people can flourish. The original sin of slavery that they try and distance themselves from, it's something that they're not going to be able to shake until they get reparations, because it's so many other things going on inside of that, outside of just the economic standpoint. This is why I never would move to an all-white neighborhood. No matter how much money I have, I'm never moving away from my people for various reasons. But I also want my kids to be ingratiated in the community that don't seem to have no problem being by themselves and wanting to be left alone, but everybody else seems to disparage at every turn. In case in point, like that's separate but equal. It's a lot of Black people who feel like, man, integration was the worst thing that ever happened to us, because at the core we just wanted to be left alone to be able to flourish on our own. And it's been intervention and things that have occurred throughout that whole time. I know I'm jumping around, but this is a 4-year course to understand all the information to get to the point where you're like, God damn, this is deep. And it's not gonna happen in 15 minutes on no podcast. It's really not. So it's really no point. I would just say if you're actually interested in learning about all of the stuff, there is material that exists. You just have to go educate yourself. And this is for anybody that's watching, anybody that actually is like, but where we run into a huge issue, which is why you see like this. I know people like, man, I hate the FBA. This so divisive. What y'all are witnessing is people saying, hey, there are people who don't understand but share a similar resemblance to us, and then they're speaking up on topics. Like I found myself questioning where somebody's from every time they make a statement that's anti-Black American. Like, man, you look like me. And now I'm starting to notice, like, nah, you really don't look exactly like me. I can see the difference now that I've been asking that question and putting the ideologies to the question, because I'm like, oh, you think the same thing as them people, because the ideology that it would take for you to leave a homeland full of your people instead of flourishing it and float over to America or however you get here is a different ideology than somebody who has a consistent issue with this. So partnering to fight against this system is never going to occur because you willingly travel to come into the system. Now, the second generation and third generation, they may get into that because then they say, oh, I see kind of how the system is, and I see the lies that I was told about these people. So now I can see like, oh yeah, I need to be more empathetic and learn about whatever's going on so I can partner with. But it's deeper than rap. It's so deep. I don't even have enough energy to explain all of it. But yeah, just if you're interested, look it up. If you're not, just please, like, just because we share melanin and you may identify as a Black person, that does not give you the understanding of the actual history of our people, which is why I brought the FBA thing in, because we realized that this is occurring, and we were voting based off this person is Black, that person is Black, and we're like, why would you do this? Why would you co-sign this? Why would you push and allocate this money to the AAPC? Why are you an APAC? Why is APAC your number one donor?
People of color?
Why? Yeah, all of these things we say, oh, it's because you don't understand the full history. You came over here, looked like us, identified, and got elected on being Black. And we're just now understanding that not everybody has the same experience. So yeah, I just say God bless everybody. And by the time our people fully figure it out, the hell to pay for everybody that did us wrong. God damn.
No, we're gonna do it
damn.
God's way. We're gonna figure it out. We're gonna
You know what's so funny, Marcus? I think that people don't care until it's them, right? I think that anybody who's not white has experienced whiteness. You feel me? I think that we live in a society where everybody wants somebody under them. You know, it's like, oh, I'm big and bad. I want somebody. Even trailer park wants somebody under them. That's why a lot of trailer park people are racist. You know what I'm saying?
It's a prerequisite for capitalism. Capitalism is a pyramid that builds upon.
Everybody wants a superiority. Oh, well, I'm over you. But at the end of the day, you're not white. Okay. And at the end of the day, your people will feel it. You've probably felt it in your country. You probably felt it in the neighboring country, right? And I think we often forget that when we come to come here. And what happens is, and we see that a lot with our Hispanic brothers and sisters, they understand now that you gonna go through it. I mean, you safe until you're not safe, until it's about you. And then you go back and be like, dang, all that stuff, all those privileges we had, Black people gave us them privileges. Like, you weren't able to walk over here and do the things that you're doing, until we did what we did to give you that opportunity. But unfortunately, they're not going to see it that way. They're just not until it happens to them.